can I help you tonight? God is good and God is good all the time. My name is Simon Just Praise Around here. You get me some news on tonight. And we're gonna talk about this about the airplane. You had a man who was trying to attack a flight attendant. And also he attempted to open the door, the emergency door. So acting FAA, administrator, really he testified on the plane safety. Cause you got to have plane safety. He asked him, suppose he would have opened that door. Cause see, their job is to make sure everything is safe. So they're spoken from the senator committee, on safety. In the wake of the close call, it was a close call. Because what if he would have got that door open? Because he was trying to open that door. In the incident on the United States Airlines, CBS News Senator Transportation Chris Van Cleveland discussed the goal of hearing and where the FAA will go from here. Cause see, they still going still investigating. Why all of a sudden, he just want to hop up and attack the flight attendant? Why? So they're gonna be still investigating and looking into that. A man attacked a flight attendant. In an attempt to open the emergency door on the United, airline flight. They was going to Baltimore. And they asked what would happen if he would have opened that door. And this happened like midnight. And he stated he would not have been able. Now he said he would not be able to open that door. So he's saying that's how secure the door was. So they said everything was okay. Just saying the airplane, everything was safe. Everything was safe. You just had an incident happen on the plane. So the airplane is fine. They just had an incident on the plane. So FAA, and law enforcement, increasing the penalty of that remain a problem as we saw on the flight to Boston. So now they're gonna try to make a law enforcement. If someone do an incident like that on a plane again. Because I don't know to just let him go on by his business, or to arrest him, but they're trying to make a law to enforcement in case this happen again to increase the penalty. For an incident like this, and I agree because you putting you putting the customer's life in danger that was already on the plane. Now, suppose he would have opened that door. Suppose he would have tagged her and tagged someone else on the plane. So a person do stuff like that again, just trying to enforce to increase of the penalty. So one, I made attempt to open the emergency door. Thank God he did. Two, in case he would have opened the door. So we have to make sure all emergency doors is real close, tight. You know, and three, everything was okay. The plane was okay. So no one had to be scared to get on the plane because there wasn't nothing wrong with the plane. It just had a little incident on the plane. So the airplane is safe. He did not open the door. And then AFF said he would have never opened the door. Could they ask him what he would have? He said he wouldn't be able to open that door. So they're saying that's how secure the door was. So four, I agree, for law enforcement, increase the penalty. Because we can't have stuff like that happen on the plane. Because you got other customers that's on the plane, and everyone there pays good money to get on that plane. So everyone needs to be safe. So five, someone could have got hurt, or someone could have died. If he would open that door, but he would have kept on attacking. They said some of the customers that was on the plane, they jump in and start attacking him. Because he was attacking the flight attendant. He was attacking the flight attendant. So who knows if he would have continued pursuing her, he would have started trying to pursue them. So some of them was bold. They jump in. Took whatever he had in his hand. They say he had something in his hand trying to stab the flight attendant. To fight. um, that should have been that should have been a crime, you know, that so that was a crime, that he was trying to commit. He started attacking the flight attendant, whatever he had in his hand, you know, and so somebody could have seriously got hurt, but I'm glad no one did. I'm glad he did not. I'm glad he wasn't able to open that door. So so they're trying to enforce, the law for that, in case someone try to do this again. Because we have to have the safety of the customers that's on the plane. So I also have update on Latoya Cantrell, recall. So they still trying to do on the recall, to try to have her removed. You had the whole community came together and signed petition to try to remove her off seat. So it just go through. This will be the first time they remove a male from seat. And this is her legacy. Her legacy comes you attached to her. So this all voters, make sure all voters are very active, because they had to do a recall because some people who signed, they have some voters was inactive, so that don't count, if you have a lot of voters that's not even, not at the same resident, so everyone, voters have to be updated because this is the time to update it because you have to vote next year. So all voters have to be active, you know, or if it's inactive, voters, it needs to be updated, and that don't count, trying to go towards Cantrell, so I block all recalls, and I request that she remain, mayor of city council, so I block recall, and I request that she remain as mayor, so we talk about FAA trying to make sure the plane stays safe, for everyone that's on that plane. In case this happen again, they're trying to enforce the law, to make this a crime, because someone could have got hurt, and then he tried to open that door, then that would have been other problems, So thank God everyone was safe, thank God he wasn't able to open that door, so we also just talk about update Cantrell the recall. I had blocked, the recall, and I request that she remain as mayor. So that's all the news I have for you today. But I do have a word also for you. So we still doing Bible study. Have Moses to die on a mountain. So now God is telling Moses, to climb up that mountain. You know, the lane, to see the lane that I'm giving Israel, the lane that you will not enter. You remember when Moses not enter the lane, but God let him got so close where he can climb up there and see, and he gonna see the whole lane once he climb up on that top mountain. So the Lord had told Moses to go up into the mountain, across the Jericho, and view the canyon. The land that I am giving the Israelite as their own possession. God want him to see it. Because God loved him Moses, and he still loved him Moses. So God also telling Moses on the mountain that you have climbed, you will die and be gathered with your brother and all your offspring. And then you're gonna die right there on that mountain, just like your brother did. So because you both broke faith with God, in the presence of the Israelite. And see that's the thing. You know, you did your little stunt. Try to give yourself credit. And you did it right in front of the Israelite. And see, that's what he's saying. Because you both broke faith, with God in the presence of the Israelite, the whole community. You try to get credit and you told the whole community that we gonna give you some water. That was his mistake, you know, in the desert. Because you did not uphold the holiness among the Israelites. Now, see, God had wanted him to give God credit, you know, in front of the Israelites, but he didn't. He gave his own self credit. You know, he did not uphold God's holiness, among the Israelites. And see, that's what really ticked God off, you know. And see, Aaron didn't hit the rock, but still Moses said we. So he was talking about him and Aaron. So that's why Aaron had to get the same penalty that Moses had got. So God had told Moses, you will see the land from a distance. You see, God didn't let him go across the street and see the land. God didn't let him walk to the corner and see the land. God let him see the land from a distance. You climb up that mountain way up there, and you're gonna see the whole land from a distance. So you will not enter the land that I'm giving you, to the people of Israel. You will not enter, but you can see it. You can't even get close and see it. You have to see it from a distance. You know, so that's just how much God loved him, but he disrespect God at the same time. So remember, you know, that God had told. Remember, God had told Moses to write the songs down. Write the song down. And also had told him to tell the Israelites to sing it. So Moses had God had told him to write the songs down, and so Moses came with Joshua and spoke all the words of this song, in the hearing of the people. Now, when Moses had finished reciting all these words to the Israelite, take to heart all the words that I have declared to you this day. So that you may command your children. See, this all that now yesterday we talked about the children. So God still talking about the children. So God say, command your children to obey carefully all the words of this law. Now remember yesterday, he had the priests, to read all the law and make sure the children is standing right there listening to. And remember I said we have to train our kids while they're young. Because see, God trying to deal with these kids now. Because the Israelite was a stiff neck. They was hard headed, kept on complaining and all that. So God trying to train these little children so they won't be like their ancestors. They are not just, like the words for you or your life. By them you will live a long and a prosperous life on this land. Now, so God's saying, if you command, if you listen, you command my law, you will live on this land for a long period of time. You have to obey His law, including the children. Now he including all these children. He wants the children to learn His law also. So we can't find life relying on false scholars. So when difficulty and disappointment and struggles are living cause us to despair and consider quitting. Now sometimes, if you're not strong enough, if you ain't got that strong faith, and all this stuff coming at you, disappointment, difficulty, struggles, that's what I'm going through now. But you got to be strong. Because if you're not strong enough to deal with everything that come at you, you're going to want to quit. That's why Moses was always trying to encourage the Israelites. Because they're so quick to quit. You remember the other ancestors did. They ain't want into the promised land because they got so scared. God wants you to hang on in there. He wants you to deal with whatever obstacle that you can deal with. He never don't want you to quit. He wants you to keep on going. So we can't find life, relying on false God. There's only one true mighty God. So Moses reminded Israelite that the words of God is not idle, but be uplifting to the spirit of the empower, for the daily is exercises of faith. We have to exercise our faith every day. But because sometimes our faith wave. I have to put everything in check my own self. You know, Uh, this Bible, this Bible give me strength. This Bible give me peace. You know, anything get out of the way. I go to the Bible. Because you can go through so much. Your faith will start wavering. When you realize your faith is wavering, you doubt and you complain. That's what the Israelites were doing. You got to get into that word. You got to get into that word. Because when I'm putting my materials together and I'm in this Bible, that gave me so much peace. I'll be sitting up here with so much peace. So we have to exercise our faith every day. So we need to be reminded as often as the Israelite that true life is found only as we immerse ourselves in God's word. That's what I just said, God's word. That's the only thing help me. I fast every morning, and even if I can't do it that morning, because sometimes I have to go to work early in the morning, I do it at night. Wherever I come home, I do it at night before I go to bed. That word is the only thing gonna save you. When you're going through so much difficult, don't go to a friend. Don't call no one. You pick up that Bible. You pick up the Bible, you pick up that word, and you start reading that word, and that's what Moses trying to prepare them, because see, Moses know he about to leave, so Moses trying to prepare them, God's word, God, the true light, is found on it as we ourselves in God's word. Sometimes you can go through so much difficult, sometimes you can lose yourself in your storm, you know. You can lose yourself sometime in your storm. Your faith will start wavering. You'll start doubt. But the only thing that keep you together is God's word. So now we're gonna talk about the death of Moses. Now see, the first one we were talking about, God was allowing him to climb on that mountain, to see the land. And that's what he gonna die, just like Aaron did. So now the death of Moses, so God had told Moses, to climb on top of the mountain, to see the land. Moses climbed on that mountain to the top, across from Jericho, so he across, because God wanted him to see it from a distance, so there the Lord showed him the whole land. Now, when you climb up on the top, you can see the whole land. And you know how big Cantrell is. And so he was able to see the whole land. So there the Lord showed him the whole land from Galilee and the territory. So the Lord said to Moses, this is the land. I promise I owe to Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, to I will give it to his offspring. God made a promise to Abraham. Abraham did pause. So he made that promise to Isaac. Isaac did pause. He made that promise to Jacob. So he keeping that promise with all three of them. After that, he's still keeping his faith. So we have a God that keep his faith. We have a God that keep his word. When he make a promise, he gonna keep on sticking with you. He had told the Israelites they're stiff necked, but God ain't left their side. God has kept on. God gonna be with them until they enter into that promised land. So the Lord said to Moses, this is the land that I promised Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, and I will give it to his offspring. I have let you see. God said, I let you see, with your eyes, and you will not cross over into it. So God said, I let you see with your own eyes. Nobody ain't told you how it looked. I let you see. with your own eyes, but you will not enter. I love you, Moses, but you will not enter. So Moses, the servant of the Lord, so he died right there after God finished talking to him. He died, and they buried him in a tomb in the valley. And this day, they said no one, knows where his grave is. They said no one knows his grave is, even today. So Moses was 120 years old when he died. He was 120 years old when he died. But yet, now he died at 120 years old. That's old. But guess what? His eyes was not weak. His eyes was not weak, and God said he still has strength. He only died because he disobeyed God's law. Other than that, he would have still had some more energy in him. He would have been still able to lead the Israelites. His eyes was not weak, and he still has strength. So Moses was 120 years old when he died, but yet his eyes was not weak, nor his strength wasn't gone. The Israelites grieved for Moses for 30 days, just like they did Aaron, until, it was over. So Joshua was filled with the spirit of wisdom. Now see, when Moses died, God put the spirit on Joshua so he could be smart, he can have wisdom, he can have knowledge to lead the Israelites. So Joshua was filled with the spirit of the wisdom because Moses had laid his hands on him. Moses had laid his hand on Joshua. Because Moses started training Joshua and everything else. He put his hand on. So when Moses departed, the spirit automatically fell on Joshua. So God said, no prophet had raising an Israelite, like Moses, whom the Lord knew face to face, who did all these signs and wonders the Lord had sent him to do in Egypt to Pharaoh and all his offering. Now, God said, there ain't going to be no other prophet that compares to Moses. He said no prophet had raised Israel like Moses did. Moses was the first one, to pursue God's plan, purpose. So no one can never really, now Joshua, he gonna be okay and good, but he cannot take Moses' spot. He cannot take Moses' spot. God had put Moses in his mother's womb to do this here. Moses was fit for that job. His sister and Aaron was complaining that they could do it better. A lot of time when God write a plan out for someone, it planned just for that person. It was just for Moses. And Moses did a good job. You might not be perfect. You might not be 100% because you had his sister and his brother was complaining. But God said, I chose Moses. I chose Moses to do this here. And no one can be able be just like Moses. You could do a job good or whatever. There ain't gonna never be a Moses. It ain't gonna never be a Moses. So Moses saw God face to face. First time he saw the back. But then remember they kept on having dinner and stuff. So Moses was the one that saw God face to face. Moses was the one that had a good personal relationship with God. That's why God said there ain't gonna be no other Moses like Moses. He was unique. He had a personal relationship with God. So no one had ever shown the mighty power or performed the awesome deed that Moses did in the sight of all the Israel. That's what I said. That's what God said. Ain't no prophet gonna raise up like Moses did. Moses did all them signs. Moses saw all the power that God did. Moses saw everything. Everything. He was faithful to God until he disobeyed God. So now, 40 years, Moses was faithful. Like I just said, he was faithful serving God. He nurtured. the promise that's planted centuries early that his people will live in their own land and worship. He put a lot of effort, you know, into trying to lead the Israelites to the promised land, preparing them and everything else. That's why I said that position was fit for Moses. When God write a plan out for you, God know what you can do. It always be fit just for that person. Moses loved his position. Remember, the father-in-law had told him how to do it and this and that. He's still taking on the whole job until he got overwhelmed again. Until God had to tell him, you got to divide some of this out. You get some elders, some leaders, because Moses had got so comfortable with what he was doing. Because he knew that job was fit just for him. So people live in their own land and worship the one true God. Though Moses had a moment. He had that moment when he wanted to take all the credit, and that's what put him in a predicament where God had to let him go. He got in a moment that caused him, to get in trouble. So when he struck that rock, he was still allowed to see the promised land. He struck that rock. God said, you cannot enter this promised land, okay, but I'll let you see it. So his legend, his history, no matter he made a mistake with that rock, he's still history. We still talking about Moses. He record God law, and he led God people to freedom. He the one got him out of there. Got him out that slavery. He got him all the way to where you could see that promised land. Because God wanted him to go all the way to the end. They're right there by their promised land. And that's what God wanted him to lead him all the way to their promised land. But you're going to stop right here. Just climb up there on that mountain to see it. So God loved. Now, he had God people to freedom. He led God people to freedom. All the way to the promised land. So Moses had to depart right here. Now, the spirit fell on Joshua. So now Joshua about to be smart. He about to take on the responsibility that Moses had. He gonna do a good job. He not gonna be Moses. I don't care how much somebody say they can do you can do what you can do in your shoes. They might do an okay job, but it will never be that kind of person. That person is unique. God have all unique person for every purpose that God have for that person. So we talk about the update on Cantrell recall. I had blocked the recall and I request that she remain as mayor. So we also talk about FAA. They for safety of the plane. So they were trying to make sure if he would have opened that door, what would happen? Because they would have to make sure that door cannot open. Have to make sure that door stay closed because he was trying to open that door. And they have to make sure, so now they're going to investigate. They're going to make sure that all them doors is real jam tight. It still have to be where they can open for emergency, but it have to still be closed where no customer, no one be able to open it. So and they're also trying to enforce the increase the penalty. For whoever do this kind of stuff again on a plane, is it gonna be a crime that they got to take responsibility for. So we talked about that. That was the news. So we also talk about Moses to die on the mountain. He was down on the mountain just like Aaron did. And so he also preparing the Israelite because he no longer gonna be with them. Let them know Joshua gonna take over. So he also telling them, about they are not just out of words, but they are your life. Now he's saying when you're going through the difficult times, the struggles, hard time, he said you go to that word. You go to that word. I know that's what I do. Go to that word. Because when I'm sitting up here putting my material together, they give me peace. I be sitting up here in peace. So you can be shedding tears. You can be going through all kind of stuff. You pick up that Bible and read that word and watch what happens. You know, it will help you a whole lot. You know, being connected with God and reading His word. You know, so we also talk about the death of Moses. You know, God let him climb up there on that mountain, you know, to see the land, you know, that he's not going to enter. You know, and also he will not be climbing down that mountain because he's going to die on that mountain, just like Aaron did. You know, so I have let you see. God said, I let you see with your own eyes, you know, but you will not enter. You know, and so Moses, the servant of the Lord, you know, he died when God had let him see. He's let him see with his eyes. His eyes did not get weak. You know, he still had strength. You know, so after God had told him, I let you see this land, that's when he died right there on that mountain. You know, and he also died as 120 years old. You know, so that was a full and prosperous life that he lived. You know, he was a good prophet. You know, but he didn't trust God good enough to just speak to that rock and that water would have came out. You know, so he had faith all the way into that rock situation. You know, so God said, you ain't had that much confidence in me. You know, so I had told you to speak to that rock. You want to hit the rock. So it means you ain't have faith, you ain't have confidence that you can talk to that rock. You know, knowing my power was going to let that water come out. You know, so that's why he had to do him in because he did it in front of the Israelite, the whole community. If he wouldn't have did it like that in front of the whole community, he probably would have lived. But by he did a showcase in front of the whole community, you know, that we gonna give you some water, that's why God had to do him in. Because God felt like he disrespected him in front of the whole community. You know, you didn't give him honor of his holiness. You didn't praise him of his power. You know, you took the glory from him and you want to honor and take credit for yourself. Knowing you cannot get no water out of that rock. It was automatically was coming from God power. You know, so that's all the words and the news that I have for you tonight. And y'all have a blessed night. And I see y'all in the next video. And remember, no matter what you go through, y'all, I have a study Bible, you know, because I'm studying and putting materials together. You know, so you feel like you want to study the Bible, it'd be best to get you a study Bible. You know, instead of regular, keep your King James Bible to bring to church. But you want to study the Bible. You know, that's why I'm going. That's why I'm doing this service along with y'all, chapter after chapter. You know, and cause I'm telling you that Bible, I take my Bible away. If I'm going in the kitchen and cook, the Bible going in the kitchen. You know, and you know, cause you got to read to put your material together. You know, someone tried to tell me, get a Bible so you can read. I read this Bible every day. For me to put the material out, you have to read the Bible. You know, I fast and I read the Bible to put the materials together. You know, so and the study Bible is just so good because it has so much information in the study Bible. You know, so y'all have a blessed night and I'll see y'all on the next video.